we'll get rolling. So any questions you guys have, we'll kind of just start with you guys today. So go ahead.
No opening statement. In what ways is this team maybe better prepared to face the next 3 games for sure, and whatever the next 7, the defining part of the season?
Yeah, I don't know, if you're ever better prepared or not prepared. I would just say I think it's great to have veteran leadership that understands what, man, the next 6-7 weeks feels like and looks like, the importance of getting better week in and week out, and how critical that is to the success of our football team. I think I said a little bit last night on a radio show, we've been in this moment very similarly the last 4 to 5 years in our football program. So, it's no different, and we've either succeeded and what, in my opinion, became the best version of ourselves, or we didn't. And there's, I think, a lot of lessons to be learned through those experiences, and sometimes you have to go through it to understand it. And we're fortunate to have some guys that certainly understand that. And then I'd say on the flip side, our young players are really talented. I think for me, I'm excited because that group continues to get better, and they're pushing the older players in our program for playing time. And when that happens, I feel like it certainly has a high sense of urgency from everybody involved, and we're fortunate because we're getting that right now in our football program. So I would say those are the positive things for us right now.
What were you guys able to accomplish with the bye week?
Yeah, I think, again, very different than a year ago. I think for us, a year ago was about, getting healthy. How could we kind of recuperate ourselves? Where, more so for us, it was how do we stay on track? How do we continue to improve? How do we continue to practice really hard and have great intent, knowing that, if we can continue to get better through the bye week, it would really continue to allow us to stay on the trajectory that we feel like we're going, and continue to get better as the season goes. So, it wasn't like we went and redid our schemes or anything like that. It was just really kind of pounding away at, getting better in terms of what we do and how we do what we do. And I thought our kids really did have a great week of practice last week.
Did you keep your normal schedule, like a game week?
Really similarly. I think we flipped Friday and Saturday. We didn't practice on Saturday. We practiced on Friday. But other than that, everything was very similar. We had a really physical practice on Friday, trying to get some of those same exposures you would get on a game day Saturday. So, other than, that aspect of it, it was very similar for us. And then our coaching staff, we used probably a little bit more time in the recruiting aspect of things than it was, normally, but very similar hours for us.
You talked about Charlie getting healthier. Where's he at, and what's the difference between 100% Charlie and less than?
Yeah, the thing for Charlie, I think, in probably even visible to you guys, is you see a guy as the season has progressed. I think you just see him in and out of his cuts better. You see him even more confident in terms of doing the hard things. In tight end, man, if you're not healthy, that's a hard position to maneuver, because you have to block, you have to be physical at the point of attack, and yet you also have to be able to run and separate out of breaks in your routes. And we asked Charlie to do so much that I just think you're starting to see him over the last probably 2 to 3 weeks of the season really start to have that full confidence to be able to do all those things at a really high level. So I do think he's certainly a lot healthier today than he was at the start of the season. Is he 100%? Boy, I think he's closer to that today than he's been.
Matt, you touched on it, and we also talked about it a lot after the Kansas game, the amount of time your young players were able to play in the game. Has that become magnified, the importance of that, as you build more depth, as you look at the 3 deep and these guys have experience and it's more competitive all the way down to that level?
I think so. I've always believed in a football program, when you have competition daily, when you got to walk on the football field and you got to compete for playing time and reps, then that heightens everybody's sense of urgency. And, I think that's where sometimes having a little bit of a veteran team, you can maybe, not have that. But, man, when those young guys don't really care about who the veterans are and they're coming in trying to compete and play, then I think what you have is it raises everybody's level. And, I do think that's a huge positive for us right now, that we've had that, and really have had that since fall camp. So, and sometimes the thing that's happening now is these young guys are proving in game situations that they can be trusted and they can help our football team. And so, I think it continues to challenge us as the coach and saying, man, those guys are proving they can play, who are the guys that deserve to be on the field in these critical moments and critical times. And I think you're in constant evaluation. If you're doing it the right way, I think you're in constant evaluation of who those guys are. And you love to see young guys challenging to get on the field. And we got a lot of guys doing that right now.
What does Skylar Thompson bring to the table for Kansas State?
Yeah, I think to me, and I don't, it's probably not fair to say this sometimes as the opposing coach, but, you know, he is one of my favorite players that we've played against in this conference because he is tough. From day one, he started as a freshman. He is a winner. He knows how to win. He knows how to compete. He brings it. You know, I think he's probably one of the hardest competitors that we've gone against since I've been at Iowa State. And, you know, I love guys that love to compete and they want to win and they bring it, and he does. And, you know, I think he's one of the best leaders that I've seen in our conference. He's one of the best football players that I've seen in our conference. And I think he's going to pose a great challenge to our football team. I think he's really confident with the ball in his hand. I think his coaching staff, no matter what staffs have coached him, have been very confident in putting the ball in his hand and making great decisions to win the game. And, you know, the utmost respect probably from my end as a competitor. We know it'll be a great challenge, and certainly we know he gives his team every opportunity to win the football game.
It's been 17 years since Iowa State won in Manhattan. In your two experiences down there, what makes that such a tough place to play?
Yeah, I just think, you know, in some ways very similar to Iowa State, you know, a great home crowd. You know, football is really important. We know, I don't know if I can say enough about Coach Snyder in terms of what he built there and how important he built football, college football, in Manhattan. And, you know, I certainly Coach has done a phenomenal job of carrying that tradition and pride on. But I think it's really important to that community. You can tell, you can feel it when you walk into the stadium. You can feel it when you walk onto the field. You know, it's a special place to play, and I love competing there because it's such a great environment, college football environment to play in.
We know what a good kickoff dude can mean for a team. We've seen that. How critical is that on Saturday, considering you're going against the number 2 kickoff guy in the country? He's got kickoff returns for touchdowns in each of the last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, boy, you watch Texas, Alabama on Saturday night, right? I mean, it's everything. And, you know, I think the not only from having a great kickoff guy, but also from having a great coverage unit. And, you know, you can't, boy, the kickoff return against us this year is 4.2 hang time, and the ball's right to the goal line. It's actually a great kick, but you're a hair off against a great returner, and it can change the whole complexity of the game. So, you know, I do think it's absolutely critical to our success. I think special teams in general in this game, it will be really important, and certainly our growth in those units is going to be critical to our success.
Matt, so slow starts have still kind of plagued you guys, especially against the higher end teams you guys have gone against. How do you guys make sure this offense gets started quickly down there at Kansas State and kind of sets that tempo?
Yeah, I don't know, that's probably a good question, and I'd have to even go back to really study that aspect of that question. I just think in general, for us playing in great rhythm and finding our rhythm, whether it's really offense or defense, I think that's so critical to our success, and we certainly can't leave out special teams. And it doesn't matter who you play, it doesn't matter who you play in this conference. You know, the ability when you play a good football team or it's evenly matched, and you hear me talk about this all the time, man, you got to win in the margins. You got to be able to do the little things well. Those are the things that are going to really be the difference in a football game like this. So, you know, I just think from an overall standpoint, that's why you got to keep getting better as the season goes, so you can capitalize on those margins, those areas that it takes to win football games, especially in the Big 12 right now.
What memories do you have of that game 2 years ago? Remember how cold and windy that was? Kind of a screwy day. What do you remember about that game? That was kind of different.
It's certainly a different game. You know, I just think for us it was a game where, you know, credit to them, they played well. I don't think we played very well, and you know, we just they were probably more so the environment and really more so us. You know, I think we were at the end of the football season and probably weren't in a great place both culturally and football-wise. And, you know, I think after that game we really had to look internally, myself, and try to make the right changes moving forward for our football program.
I know you've only played there a few times, but is the wind, is that normal in that? Do you know if it's normal or not?
Gosh, That's probably a better Randy question than a me question because he's been there way more than I have. And sorry, Randy, but yeah, I don't know. Yes.
What stands out about Deuce Vaughn from what you obviously saw from him last year and then obviously so far this season?
Yeah, I just, again, great vision. I think the biggest thing, and you talk about their kick returner, and you talk then about Deuce playing, and what he has, and I think both those guys have great vision. They have the ability to find the open seam, the open gap, and really make you pay for it. And, I think equally to his vision, his balance is really good. You see him breaking tackles a lot and being able to bounce off the first tackler and make real positive things happen. So a lot of respect for him, certainly really talented, also elite catcher out of the backfield, can make plays out of the backfield in the passing game, and you've seen a lot of that, especially over the last couple of weeks.
This may annoy you, but it's okay. Some people have called October Brocktober. Define Brocktober. And given the fact that Kansas State has done a good job stopping the rush, granted the caliber competition other than the last two games, how important is quote-unquote Brocktober going to be?
Yeah, I don't know as much about that, again, that term, but I think the reality of, man, you want to be getting better as the season goes. And I do think that's an area that we have been able to do well. And whether it's been at the quarterback position or the running game or the defensive piece of things, I think we've been able to identify who we are and try to make the right adjustments and put our best players in position to be successful. And I think no matter what game it is, and especially a game like this, where talent and teams are very evenly matched, your really good players are going to have a positive impact on the football game. And, number one, we're going to have to do a great job putting them in position to have that kind of impact. And then number two, you've heard me say this too, A players got to have to get A's in these football games for us to be successful. So, I think all that coming together down the stretch is really important for our team to be successful. And, if we're not doing those things, I think it's really hard for us to have success.
There's obviously a lot of weird elements of everything last year, but with this game specifically, when you played against them, I think that they were having some serious COVID issues at that time. How much can you really even take away from the film of that game?
Yeah, I think it's really hard. It's kind of one of those things that you almost got to take it out of the really spectrum of it. I don't think we've looked at it a whole lot just because the reality of who they are and what they are today is so drastically different to what they were a year ago. So, again, not really putting not very little to no stock in that game and really kind of looking at who they are right now and who they are as a football team. And I think we all know, man, they're playing really good football right now.
Matt, on the bye week, how much of Big 12 football did you watch over the weekend? And then does it still feel like it's a wide open race right now? It's really anybody for the taking down this stretch?
Well, I think college football is crazy in general. I think I said that from the get-go. This was going to be a really unique and different year, and I think we're finding that out, and I think it'll only get crazier as the season goes. And to my point in that, if you're getting better, if you can stay the course, if you can navigate the outside noise and play your best football when you need to play your best football, then I think you have a chance to be a special team. And I think those will be critical things for us as we go. I really didn't spend a whole lot of time watching everybody else. I said on the radio I got to go to see 2 soccer games in the morning on Saturday, which was awesome for me. And then other than that, trying to put my attention towards Kansas State and kind of get a jump start on them. But, a lot of those games we'll see. And I just think in general, though, college football, man, it's a really fascinating time right now. It's going to be even more fascinating as we continue to go.
Do we have any more questions, Coach?
Awesome. Thanks, guys.